let me tell you about this surprising and really, really beautiful sounding set of speakers, and for way less than $1,000. I want to revisit these Elac Debut 3.0 DB63 speakers again because in A/B comparison listening to more and more of their competitors, these Elacs just continue to stand out. They really deserve to be singled out beyond just the review I did soon after they were released and to be recognized as the sub $1,000 price class champions that they are. So let's go deeper on the Elac Debut 3.0 DB63-BK. 63, not DB53. Hi, and welcome. I'm Hunter Gray. This is Hunter-Gray-LUV-Music. It's important to me that my music sound beautiful when I play it. So that's why we're here talking about hi-fi gear, because your hi-fi gear and my hi-fi gear helps or hurts how the music that we love sounds. So slow down for a few minutes and enjoy while we chat about the sub $1,000 price champions, the Elac Debut 3.0 DB63. I should mention that I have put in the comments down below in the description a link to my full review when these first came out. Quick specs. These cost $450 per pair. They're a two-way stand mount speaker, 1-inch aluminum dome tweeter, a 6.5-inch mid bass driver. They are 6 ohms and they're 86.5 dB sensitive. They have a stated frequency response of 42 hertz up to 38,000 hertz. What about the bass reach and extension? Well, they say 42 hertz. I can clearly hear a 35 hertz test tone on these speakers, in spite of what the Elac stated specs are. I can slightly hear a 30 hertz tone, but it's weak enough that I consider these have a bass extension down to 35 hertz, which is excellent. For me, if I can get down to 35 hertz, I'm okay not using a sub. So I don't think these Elacs require a sub at all. However, if you have a lot of hip hop or dubstep or EDM or reggaeton in your library, you may want to put a sub. But for my music library, I get bass extension down to 35 hertz, then I'm okay without a sub. And on these Elac 3.0 DB63, I never felt the need to add a sub. Only electronic synthesizers and church organs and the very extended bass register on grand pianos reach below 35 hertz. So if I can get 35 hertz, I can get everything that a upright bass can produce when I'm listening to my acoustic jazz. So that's my little spiel and speech on bass extension. I don't need a sub with these, which for a stand mount pair of $450 speakers, pretty freaking amazing. Crossover frequency between the tweeter and the 6.5-inch mid bass driver is at 2,000 hertz, which is on the low side. And I kind of like that because it means more of the mid range is being handled by that excellent soft dome tweeter. Now, I'll comment, it's an aluminum dome tweeter, which I think a lot of us have a preconceived notion when you add, aluminum or hard coatings. It can make a tweeter have a harsh treble presentation, but I would have thought this was a silk dome tweeter. It is so soft and so smooth. So anyway, these pretty hefty. They weigh in at 17.3 pounds. They're 13 inches high, 8 inches wide, and a little over a foot deep. These are a great example of the difference between low cost, 450 bucks, and cheap, because these are low cost, but they are not cheap. They are very well made. They're solid build quality. This is the black, and they're not gorgeous, but this black ash sides with a textured, soft satin front, they're just nondescript, and the black will fit in with almost any decor. So they're not furniture quality, but they're really good quality. So how do they sound? These Elacs have a presentation of the detail retrieval that really keeps my attention. They keep me engaged in the music. And again, you just have to control your thoughts and throw out any preconceived notions that speakers at 450 bucks a pair can't sound this good, because these produce sound that competes with speakers 3x their price and are competitive with Q Acoustic 5020, the Kef LS50 Meta, and even these Martin Logan XT B100s. So the Kef and the Martin Logans are $1,600 a pair of speakers, $900 for the Q Acoustic 5020. Excellent. 450 bucks, and they're in the fight. I think if you did a blind listening test with 10 music lovers who do their listening primarily in their car or on like a pair of AirPods or Bose Quiet Comfort or Beats headphones, no judgment there, and had them listen to all of these speakers and choose which of the four they want, my guess is that at least 2 or 3 of those 10 people, maybe as many as 4 or 5, would select these Elac Debut 3.0 DB63. These sound really good. And in a group of real hi-fi enthusiasts, my guess is in that same blind listening test with these 4 pairs of speakers, at least 1 or 2 would be very surprised when we told them they had selected the $450 pair Elacs. That's just my speculation, but that is how good these sound. Let's talk about soundstage. The soundstage is good, but it is not as noteworthy as the sound quality of the bass and the mids and the treble that I was hearing. However, I was able to easily get a clear phantom center image with these speakers, and they were really easy speakers to position and very easy and flexible in the setup. Now, I do not like treble glare. Like when your eyes, wince, like when you step out into bright sun without your sunglasses and it makes you wince. Too much treble energy, treble glare can make you do that just from the sound. And I don't like treble glare, but I want my music to sound beautiful and relaxing and enjoyable, not give me treble glare. The highs on the Elacs are smooth and never have treble glare. On these Elacs, the treble retain the sweetness and the beautiful ethereal nature on the very soft high notes. I mention this all the time, Nelson Rangel, his song, I Loved You. It is just a grand piano and Nelson Rangel playing the flute. And that flute can hit some very strong treble energy up high. And I was very surprised that sweet, beautiful, ethereal nature of that flute is conveyed by these $450 a pair Elacs. Blew me away. In my listening, I felt that the bass and the mids and the treble were all very big upside surprises. I'm comfortable with labeling what I heard as audiophile grade. Now, a question that I'm always listening for to answer is, on these speakers, does a grand piano sound like a grand piano, or does it sound like an upright piano? On the Elac, it's Piano sounds like a grand piano. Beautiful, rich, full bass tonality, and with weight to the bass. The bass is very satisfying, very impressive. Now, let's talk about instrument separation, because instrument separation is really important to me also. It's high in my priorities. Instrument separation on these was excellent as well. As I mentioned, I'll put a link to my full review of these Elacs down below in the description. But the instrument separation, well, when I get into the comparisons, I'll go deeper into the instrument separation and layering and imaging and stuff. But before I get into the comparisons with these 4 speakers, it's time for me to just ask you for your support for this channel. If you enjoy my take on speakers, amps, DACs, streamers, headphones, and IEMs, then I'd like to ask for you to subscribe to the channel. And, you know, if you could hit the thumbs up button, if you in fact like the video, sure makes a huge difference with the YouTube algorithm, and I'd appreciate it. If you're able, please click on the link in the description and consider joining my Patreon. Also, I want to make you aware that some of the links in the description, but not all of them, are affiliate links. So just be aware that costs you nothing, but it generates a small commission for the channel, which is your no-cost way of showing your support for the channel. So thank you again for your support of the channel. Okay, comparisons. Martin Logan, Kef, Acoustics, 5020, and we're going to compare them to the Klipsch RP-600M Mark II. All right, we're going to start with the Martin Logan XT B100 comparison. First of all, I have to say, I have concluded that the Elac Debut 3.0 version DB63 is the Porsche Cayman GTS of speakers. This is no hot hatch. No, these Elacs are the Cayman GTS, and they can hang with BMW M cars or a 911 on a group drive. 911s and M cars won't be able to leave these speakers behind. These will keep up. First thing that surprised me during the evaluation A/B listening with the Martin Logans is that the Martin Logans have a sensitivity stated of 93 dB, while the Elacs are 86.5 dB sensitive. But I only needed to boost 3 clicks in the volume on the Elacs to volume level match the Martin Logans and the Elacs as I was A/B listening. I can't explain that. I can only report my experience. So I'll say it again. Manufacturer specs should really be taken with a very large grain of salt. On paper, specs, based on the specs, I would never have predicted that small amount plus 3 clicks in order to do level matching with that large of a delta in the stated efficiency. Now, the Elac Debut 3.0 DB63 are warmer, and they are fuller, and they are smoother than the XT B100s. In direct A/B switching, this can make the Martin Logan sound thin in comparison to the Elacs. Now, the Martin Logans are cleaner, more neutral, with sparkly, squeaky clean and transparent treble. That folded motion tweeter with that wave guide, it's the star of the show. The treble on the Martin Logans is never harsh, but I noticed the treble first on the XT B100s. So to me, I noticed the shimmering of cymbals more prominently than I normally do. This is neither good nor bad, but it does change the presentation from what I'm used to. So I'm pointing it out. Soundstage comparison. The Martin Logans have that forward into the room soundstage, especially on lead vocals. I like that a lot. It's good. I would choose the soundstage on the Martin Logans over the Elacs all day, every day. Soundstage is really important to me, and the Elacs have that check the box. The soundstage is good enough, but the Martin Logans with that FMT tweeter and that wave guide just throw a really cool soundstage, in my humble opinion. It reminds me, and it may remind you, of the Klipsch type of presentation. These two sound different enough that I believe I could blindfold myself and someone played each of this. I think I could pick out which one was which. And that's not always the case, but these sound quite different, but it's preference here. Now, I have a tendency to prefer warm over bright. So I think personally, I would keep the extra $1,150 in my pocket, and I'd order the Elac Debut 3.0 DB63. Now, when it comes to my preference on warm over bright, I should also point out I choose not to do room acoustic treatments. My decor and my wife and I, how our home looks, comes first, and the music and the sound has to fit into that. So I think if you have a really acoustically treated room, there's a tendency to like brighter, more shimmery, more sparkly B&W, Focal, this FMT type of tweeter, because your room is soft or deadened, the acoustic treatment. I don't do acoustic treatments, so that may be some of why I prefer warmer sounding speakers, because too much sparkle, too much shimmery, it's not a good match for my room. So just pointing that reality out as well. Now, back to the comparison. There are quite a few arguments that could be made that the Martin Logan XDB100s are better. They look better in this satin white, in my opinion. I think they look fantastic, very contemporary. I don't like either of the other two color options they come in. I think the build quality is up to their $1,600 price point, and these are very well built, but those are, on a different level for sure. The FMT tweeter is really, really good and is the star of the show. And I think the Martin Logans probably measure better in a room if that's your preferred method of comparison. I trust my ears. But their price of $1,600 plus, they really need a subwoofer. They really they don't have much below 50 hertz. I am perfectly okay with the Elacs listening without a sub. $1,600 plus you need a sub and stands for the stand mounts. So to me, the Elacs win going away in value for money. Let me put it to you this way. The Elacs have 90%-ish of the performance of the $1,600 Martin Logans at 28% of the cost. 90% performance for 28% of the cost. So that's how I would do the math, and then you can make up your own choice based on what your priorities and what you value most highly. Now, I'm going to compare the Kef LS50 Meta in the Elac Debut 3.0 DB63. On the Kef, the soundstage is deeper and wider on the Kefs. Again, good check the box soundstage, wider and deeper on the Kefs. Absolutely. Also, the imaging and layer separation on the Kefs are very high end and are better than the Elac Debut 3.0. When I compare performance price between two things, like I consider the higher cost item performance as 100%. And then I assess as best I can, albeit subjectively, what percentage of that 100% of the higher cost with the less expensive gear can I attain? And again, I think the Elacs give you 90% or so of the performance of the Kef LS50 Metas. $1,600, 450, 90% of the performance. Just the fact that I'm comparing $450 pair of speakers with two sets of really well-known, excellent brand $1,600 speakers, that's crazy good. So the Elac Debut 3.0 are a very strong value proposition. All right, now comparing to the Klipsch RP-600M Mark II. The Klipsch RP-600M Mark II do not have the level of imaging and layering and instrument separation that the Elac Debut 3.0s possess. Not at all. The Elacs have imaging and layering and instrument separation way above their price point. Also just leaves the RP-600M in the dust. The Klipsch present beautifully the vocal in the instrument that is soloing, and it brings it forward into the room in that Klipsch sort of way. Any part of the song that the recording engineer intends to be the focal point at that time in the song is great. It's right out front for you. It's clear, it's accurate, no treble glare, no sibilance, excellent tonality on the Klipsch RP-600M. But the problem arises when it comes to the clarity, separation, and imaging of the rest of the instruments that are also playing in the song. I think everything that is else that's in the recording, I think it's all there, but it's mushed together and it's recessed in the background. And when I listen for the details that I know are in the recording, on the RP-600M Mark II, I usually can find those details, but I have to sift through this muddled presentation to find them. They're just not clearly presented there. These are the other instruments that are not imaged and separated clearly. On the Elac, the imaging and layering and separation is top notch. Compares with the Martin Logans and the Kef LS50 Metas very positively. Truly excellent in that regard. So I want to say, if you're a buyer who currently has an excellent hi-fi system in your listening room or in your living room, and you may be shopping for a smaller, less costly system for your office or your bedroom, I think you will hear what I'm describing from the RP-600M, and I think you will become disillusioned with the Klipsch RP-600M over time if you decided on them. On the other hand, if this is the type of buyer you are and you were to buy the Elac Debut 3.0 DB63, I think you will be very happy and quite amazed at the high level of sound reproduction these speakers deliver, and for just $450 a pair. That still blows my mind. All right, now comparing to the Q Acoustic 5020, which list for $900 a pair. They are really, in my opinion, the only other competition for the Elac Debut 3.0 DB63-BK under $1,000, okay? The soundstage on the 5020s, on every amp that I tried, the soundstage on the 5020s was more impressive and wider and just stood out. Again, good sound stage, check the box, it's good enough, but the soundstage on the 5020s is second out of these four behind the Martin Logans, in my opinion. Now, the Elacs have imaging and layering and instrument separation way above their $450 price point, and it is also a little bit better, in my opinion, than the Q Acoustic 5020s. that ability to really hear instruments separate and distinct instruments playing is important to me. Sometimes I like just to key in and listen for a certain instrument, like just the upright bass, or single out one of the percussion instruments, or I really just want to hear the rhythm guitar. I don't know if you ever do that. I do, and I enjoy being able to key on one and listen to it. So that's why, for me, instrument separation of everything going on in the band in the background is important to me. The detail retrieval on both the Elacs and the 5020s is excellent, and I think they're on a par each, both being highly resolving. But I prefer the smooth and full tonality you get with the Elacs over the Q Acoustic 5020s. The Elac has more meat on the bone throughout the frequency response range that, to me, makes them more engaging and keeps me listening longer than on the 5020s. Unlike the Klipsch, if you're a buyer, as I said, who currently has an excellent hi-fi system in your listening room or living room, and you're shopping for a smaller, less costly system for an office or a bedroom, I don't think you will be disappointed by either the Elac or the Q Acoustic 5020s. They both will hold up to the scrutiny. But to recap, the 5020s have more impressive soundstage. The Elacs have better instrument separation on complex, crowded tracks. Both have very smooth treble presentation without any treble glare or any sibilance. Played on my reference Class D amps, the Elac has better bass and mids with a beautiful tonality that is rich and full and almost as if being played on a Class A amp. And I love that about the Elac Debut 3.0 DB63s. I think the Elacs are a better all-rounder for any genre of music, and they're my choice of between the Q Acoustic and the Elac. I'm going with the Debut 3.0. But I will say, I had a really wonderful evening listening to acoustic jazz and singer-songwriters from my music library on the Q Acoustic 5020 that I credit to their wonderful soundstage for making me just not stop playing track after track. I love listening sessions like that, don't you? And you just like, you're kind of out of time, but you don't want to stop and you go on to the next track. I had a great listening session with the 5020s. I really enjoyed those speakers. So this is my clear choice for the best speakers under $1,000. The Elac Debut 3.0 DB63-BK. I want to say thank you for watching. My goal is to help you reach and enjoy your hi-fi happy place. Please share your thoughts with me in the comments down below. And most definitely, please come back to the channel. And thanks again for watching. I'll see you again on the next video. Cheers.